So this time on problem number 1, again, I have 3 and 5/8 plus 1 and 3/4. I am going to separate the whole numbers and then apply the butterfly method. So what I did up in this little cloud or little bubble up here was I took my whole numbers. My whole number for this one is 3, of course, and then my whole number 1 from the other mixed number. 3 plus 1 equals 4. Now I'm leaving it in this little cloud so that I do not forget it for later. This makes it a little bit easier, so when I come down and I take just the fractions down here, I don't have to worry about those and I can easily do my butterfly method. I am making one wing from the bottom denominator across to the other fractions numerator, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. My beautiful wings. And then I am going to attach the body of the butterfly on the bottom part of the wings. And notice I am attaching my denominators of 8 and 4, and there's this little beautiful X that is made between those two numbers from our butterfly wings. That means we are going to multiply 8 times 4, and I know that is 32. That becomes my common denominator for those two. And then I am going to cross multiply. I'm not going to worry about this addition sign right now. Instead, I'm going to do 8 times 3, I know is 24. So there's my little antenna. I'm going to have 24 up here. And then I'm going to cross multiply from my other denominator of 4 times 5, and I know that equals 20. So now I'm ready to use that addition sign. I'm going to put that right up top. And since my denominator is common for both of these two numbers, it's 32. I'm going to keep that as my denominator of 32. And I'm just going to add the numerators together. 20 plus 24 is 44. Oh, and I notice that my numerator is greater than my denominator. That means I have an improper fraction right here, and I need to use my fraction as an equation, which would be 44 divided by 32. So I'm just going to use a little bit of space up here to put 32 as my divisor. Put in my division sign. So 32 goes into 44. Well, I know that 32 times 2 is going to be 64, and that's way too big. So I'm only going to go one time with my 32. Subtract that from my 44 right here. And I am going to have 12 left over. So my whole number is my quotient right up here. So I'm going to write a W right there. My remainder of 12 is also going to be my numerator. And then 32 was my denominator, so it's going to stay as my denominator. I'm going to go down here. Well, first of all, I'm going to take that whole number and I'm going to add that to my whole number up here. So 4 plus 1 now, of course, is going to equal 5. So I am going to make sure that I have 5 as my whole number. And now I can write that down here again, 5. And then I'm going to have 12 as my numerator over my denominator of 32. Oh, I'm noticing something else again. My 12 of my numerator and my 32, which is my denominator, are both even numbers. I know that 12 and 32 can both be divided by 32 in order to simplify. I'm also thinking that 12 and 32 have another number in common, and that is 4. So what I'm going to do is divide 12 and 32 both by 4. That way I can simplify. If you would have just done 12 divided by 2 and 32 divided by 2, you would have noticed that you would have come up with 6 over 16. And that is just fine too, because 6 over 16 can also be divided by 2 over 2 and simplified even further. And that would become 3/8. Well, watch this. I'm going to make sure that I keep my whole number as my 5. I don't want to forget to put that back in. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Oh, and guess what my denominator is going to be? 32 divided by 4 is 8. So whether you take your numerator and your denominator and divide it by 2 once or even twice, you'd still come up with the same answer as we got when we did the 2 times 2 is 4 and divided the numerator and the denominator by 4. So your answer is 5 and 3/8.